Hey everybody, what's going on? It's your boy Awesome Nobody here, and I'm here with.
The one, the only, little Miss ENT.
And I know it sounds, I always say I'm here with. I'm here with her every day. If you guys don't know,
Yeah, we're not too far away from each other at any given moment.
we're here working on Death to Us Part. If you guys don't know, we are engaged, and one of our many shows we do the Wedding Edition podcast. We update everybody on our wedding progress.
Yep.
So real quick, where are we on the wedding process? Real quick.
So we had to start from the beginning. Mm-hmm. We had to postpone. So we are just reigniting all of that.
Mm-hmm. So basically more news to follow.
More news to follow. Yes. Mm-hmm. There's a lot.
There's a lot, but it is a lot when you're doing a wedding, and we just want to make sure it's done right.
Mm-hmm.
So COVID set us back, but we're not gonna let it defeat us. We're gonna keep pushing through.
Not at all.
So we are podcasters, and we're moving more real estate into YouTube.
Yes, absolutely.
And so thank you guys for tuning in. This is going to be a great episode about something that we both feel passionately about.
Yeah.
But it's often hard to talk about.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Kanye West today.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk about Kanye West.
The one thing that nobody wants to talk about but talks about.
Yes. He recently did an interview with Joe Rogan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, me personally, I've been waiting for this for a while.
You called it. You wanted that to happen.
Mm-hmm. I started listening to Joe Rogan about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I started telling Lil Miss about it, like, hey, this guy Joe Rogan really taking this podcasting thing serious.
Yeah.
If that name sounds familiar, you don't really remember where he might be from. He was the host of Fear Factor.
Yes.
And in addition to Fear Factor, he was on a 90s sitcom, I believe, called Newsroom, or it was something like Newsroom or something like that, where he played a character. It was like Kelsey Grammer, a couple other people.
Okay.
And then he transitioned to being a commentator for MMA.
Yeah. That's where I know him from.
Yeah. But he also had this thing. He liked podcasting, so he did it every day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big thing for just anybody who's thinking about getting into podcasting. I always say, follow the Joe Rogan method. Do it every day.
Yeah.
He put himself in the studio. He talked about stuff every day until he became the most popular podcast on the planet.
Yeah.
Now, he just did get a deal with Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
Which has been the talk of the town. It was something like 150 million they gave him for his podcast.
Yeah, it was something wild.
And, there was talks about him doing this Kanye interview before the deal. And I almost feel like he waited until he had the deal. I mean, I'm like, wow, like that's how you know somebody's good.
Yeah.
Because he could have easily done it before. Mm-hmm. But now he did it on Spotify, and it was huge. Yep. Really huge. And, we did watch it. And we want to talk about a couple things that he talked about. And believe me, we'll use the references, we'll put it in context, and we'll try to give you guys, we'll try to be the bridge on the information that people seem to be missing from there.
Yeah.
But before we do that, I do want to say that Kanye holds a place dear to all of our hearts.
Yeah. Awesome's a huge Kanye fan.
Huge Kanye fan.
He has a poster right down here to the left of the studio here.
I want to say I came from the era where Kanye couldn't do no wrong. Yeah. And that's a real statement.
He changed the culture.
That's a real statement.
We have to always remember he changed the culture.
He did. He was a nobody that became. He is really the embodiment of an awesome nobody. He was a normal guy from Chicago who persevered to the top of the top of everything, just from from having confidence in himself, and just from basically working hard. He set the standard for producers, 5 beats a day for 3 summers.
Yeah.
That is a feat that a lot of people still can't do. I mean, 5 beats a day for 3 summers.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot.
No, Kanye, you know that I worked in the music industry, and I never got an opportunity to work directly with Kanye or book a concert with Kanye West, but got an opportunity to go to a lot of Kanye West concerts from my connections in the industry.
Kanye.
And, he is, I often resonate with Kanye because if you know me, if you know, you know.
If you know.
If you know, you know. I feel like because of my creativity, my energy, my passion, I am of that person that's almost like my insanity is what makes me great. Like some people, they get it. And then some people are like, what is wrong with her? And then some people just are like, how can I get down? And I feel like I can resonate with him because sometimes when you think and you vibrate on a different level, a lot of people that vibrate on a lower level, then you don't understand it. And you're trying to get people that vibrate on a higher level to see and feel your energy. So it can be a conflicting place. And I think that's his creative genius gets the best of him on top of a really serious topic that happens to be near and dear to my heart is that Black men's mental health and just talking about it today, him coming out and really being vocal about him having bipolar disorder, him having that breakdown and going to the hospital, and shout out to his wife, no matter what you want to say about Kim Kardashian, not leaving his side because he felt like somebody would do something to him, just coincides with with healthcare in general with minorities, right? But him being vocal about that and us seeing that, right? Us living and breathing and seeing somebody that we love. Like at the end of the day, we love Kanye.
Yeah. He definitely did a lot for us. We grew up on him. I mean, as far as when I say did a lot, he gave us the music, the soundtrack to our lives almost.
He did.
You know what I'm saying? He gave us messages in the music that helped us strengthen our identities with who we were. You know what I'm saying? Like he said, his mother in one of the songs, Down, he said, my mother made us sit in them seats that the white folks didn't want us to sit in. Like it was powerful.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Powerful stuff.
College Dropout came out my freshman year in college, and I needed a job desperately. And the only thing that I could do was work retail because it was the only thing that would work with my schedule with school. And I got a job at the Gap.
Yeah.
And
you worked at the Gap.
I worked at the Gap.
So that's a funny story because I actually applied for a job at the Gap. and I got the job, but I ended up going back to school.
No, I got the job at the Gap. And I was the token Blackie. And like it was like literally, it was nobody else that was Black that worked at the Gap. They just kind of liked my style. They liked the way that I looked. And they treated me like shit. They treated me like shit. And I was like, I never have not just like wrote like a resignation letter. I just quit. Like I was like, I'm not coming in no more.
Honestly, in high school, if you got to write a resignation letter out your job.
Well, I was in college at that time.
Okay, even in college. Yeah. Honestly, even in college.
You should give you 2 weeks.
Just walk out. Man.
No, you should give you 2 weeks. But so funny, I was at a really low. I went to school extremely poor. Like I didn't have like $1 to my name. So I left that job and I didn't know what I was going to do. And College Dropout dropped. And I think that's Spaceships. Spaceships was big. I played that on repeat because I was just like, this is my life right now. And so fast forward to the pandemic, I invested some money that I had into stocks and I bought the Gap stock, just being facetious. Like, you know what? I hated this job. I'm going to buy the stocks and I have enough money I can invest. I'm going to buy the stocks. Lo and behold, literally, I bought the stocks. The stocks were like at like $6, $7. Kanye announces the partnership with Gap. Stocks went to $19. So y'all do the math. Yeah. So I mean, listen, the fact of the matter is, like, Kanye, for all of his craziness, he has invested a lot into this culture, and I think that he's just misunderstood a lot of the times. Yeah. So, misspoken and misunderstood.
I understand that regardless how you feel about Kanye, I had an opinion that say, what if there was no Kanye? That was my thing. Like, I see how important he was to fans. I've seen how important he was to other artists.
Change the sound of music.
I've seen how important he was to creatives, to fashion, all that stuff. So I put this song together. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I wanted to play a little bit of it just to give you guys let me slide over, just to give you guys a sense of like what we were talking about here on this song. So this is a song I made a couple years ago.
I want y'all to think for a second. Think about it. What if there was no Kanye? What if, man? What would music sound like today? What if there was no
commercial? I mean, they hit us with the commercial.
What if there was no Jay-Z? What if there was no Dave Dash? What if there was no 50? What if they was all gone? Shit, I don't know. Just all gone. Somewhere else instead. Not even in the game. What if there was no Kanye? What if there was no Jay-Z? What if there was no Dave Dash? What if there was no 50? What if they was all gone? Shit, I don't know. Just all gone. Somewhere else instead. Not even in the game. What if there was no Kanye? What if he dropped out then? What if he graduated, got jobs to wear in the stories? What if it was not a lie? It's not 808, no heartbreaks? What if he was never twisted? What if he faced?
Yeah, but the main part I want is this speech that he put at the end of this song. So let me see.
I'm just sitting here to give y'all my truth, even at the risk of my own life, even at the risk of my own success, my own career. I've been sitting here to give y'all the truth. I'm not trying to make you no man. I just am all man. The same as everybody here. I am above. None of y'all. We all equal. We all equal. These is the vibes, bro. This is the future. This is the way to get to think no they'll never be great again.
Man, he was laying it on thick on that one. But yeah, I definitely always thought that speech was really, really deep. And at the time, I knew Kanye to have deep topics, and he was sort of switching lanes at that point. And I think that might have been the first time he shouted out, "Make America Great Again." Yeah. And I understand just because I believe I went to, that was during the Yeezus tour. And I understood that at the time, everything with him was improvements, right? He wanted to change so many things. And I can see how he can get his signals crossed where you've got a guy coming in with a slogan that you kind of have already been living. It was really the slogan that got him, not the person. And I think what they was trying to do with him when he was saying "Make America Great," like, yeah, the slogan sounds good, but the person saying it is not good. Yeah. And he wasn't putting a connection to.
He didn't know he shouldn't align himself with that. Yeah,
you shouldn't. And he might even be going off his wife, because his wife's like, I know Trump, right? He's a good guy. Every time she needed stuff, he helped her. Of course, she's a pretty woman, and those guys are perverts, for real, with all those cases that Donald Trump has. Of course, he's going to do things for Kim Kardashian. Probably almost every person on the planet would.
And plus, he feeds for clout too, because she's the most influential woman in the world.
So he's in a situation. He's basically in a triangle. His wife's telling him that this guy's good. Then that guy's right there. We probably reaching out to him, and other people at that level are, they're supporting Trump, and so they're telling him he's good, and then he's like, oh yeah, if he's watching Fox News, of course he's like, the country's with this guy, let me go ahead and get in with this guy. And that's what I think now we're starting to see, just how out of touch a lot of celebrities are. A lot of them are misinformed because of their closed circuit. I'll call it closed circuit TV. But then some of them are so far ahead, they're trying to set a trend,
detached from reality,
and it's just not mixing. It's not mixing right.
Yeah, for sure, they're detached from reality.
Yeah, and but going back to that speech that he said, he said, "I'm not the man, I'm a man." It's a lot of languages like that.
That's deep. You need to look into that.
Like, I'm a man.
He's said, just a human being, just like you
as
and
everybody in this room.
Yeah.
And I understand,
he don't hold no power over you, just like you don't hold no power over him.
Yes, I mean, but see, I think what he gets into, what somebody at that level gets into, is the power of the word. It's almost like a sermon and a church and a pastor.
And then but you have to understand that your words are powerful when you have influence.
And I think he's starting to realize that, and that's really why he went on the Joe Rogan show. And I'm gonna look for the video. They had an edited video.
Yeah. So he goes on Joe Rogan. I think this high level commentary, I didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing. It's 3 hours long. This is longer than Titanic. So you have to sit down and kind of get cozy with it. But the feedback is that Joe Rogan did not dig into Kanye the way that he normally digs into some of his guests. And so I didn't feel that. I feel like he conducted a good interview. I think he was very respectful of
Kanye West stature.
Yeah, like just kind of, And just knowing, like, don't try to just get the clickbait out of him, right?
Yeah.
Like, actually hold a whole conversation.
Because, I mean, think about it. He went on Charlemagne. He went on the Breakfast Club, and you see now how that happened, right? Charlemagne tried to dig into him, right? And really tried to...
Charlemagne gonna throw them blows.
Tried to basically say to Kanye, like, some of his stuff was stupid, right? And it caused a viral moment, one of the probably the top viral moments. But at the same time, it took away from what Kanye was saying. Kanye went on Sway, same thing. The back and forth, it got heated. How Sway? It became the number two viral moment, right? And
still a meme.
Yeah, it's still a meme. And so finally, I'm pretty sure now, because remember, even though we see Kanye, even though we seen Joe Rogan, these people have teams that work with them.
Yeah.
The team was like, look, this is how it has to go now. Because we feel like you have the platform where he can be heard.
Yeah.
Let him talk. And I don't have anything wrong with Joe bringing him on there and letting the man speak. Because everything we've seen has been chopped, cut, or ridiculed and just showed a clip.
I will say, Kanye actually looks good. For a moment there, Kanye wasn't looking good.
Yeah.
Not that he didn't like dress nice or whatever. You know how you have that look, like your health don't
the
look
rings
good.
Around your eyes,
yeah,
the yellowness, the overweight.
Yeah, he looks good. He looks like he's back to old Kanye, no pun intended, but like he looks good.
So I'll play the audio, and it is long, but this is basically a YouTube video where they basically break down and show the references to basically everything that he did. And which actually makes it way, way, way more understandable. And because he does have an interesting way of talking, I'll put it like that. He has a way of talking that kind of, it can go to any topic on any second. So he can start, you know what I'm saying, talking about shoes and then end up on, you know, the assassination of Kennedy. And but then he'll bring it back. So it's kind of hard. It was kind of hard to watch. But when I found this clip, where they edited it and they basically made it so that way everything he said had the actual context behind it. Way, way, way better. And so I was just looking for the right name. It was the Truth Bomb. So it's Joe Rogan, Kanye West interview, and it's called Truth Bombs. Let me just bring that up.
Yeah, you know, Kanye also, I just want to keep reiterating that Kanye went through a lot of traumatic stuff in a short period of time with compound with like all his success and everything. Kanye lost his mom, and I don't think that anybody quite understands that until they lose a parent, especially lose a parent when you feel like you're so young. Like I lost my dad very young, and he was young himself. So was Kanye's mom, but she was so influential and so iconic. She was a mother, she was a teacher, she was an influencer, right? And she was the one that kind of kept him humble. And so, you know, these outbursts that he has, he doesn't have anything that
unchanneled energy.
It's not unchanneled energy, but that thing that brings you home, right? Like when you lose every sense of like where you've come from, it's hard to bring it back to where you need it to be.
So, I mean, I took some notes here, so I just want to go through some notes. So I thought that, like you said, he did look good. He looked like the Kanye we remember. He didn't look as fly, meaning because, you know, all the Yeezy wear has a certain look to it. But
yeah, he's very simplistic.
He looked lucid and sounded like the old Kanye, almost. Meaning he was hitting his facts. He was trying to make his points. Like you said, he did conduct the interview himself.
Yeah,
it was really almost like it was on Kanye. It was like almost like Kanye West's show. Right, and it was just Joe Rogan would happen to be there for whatever reason. It really seemed like he conducted the interview himself. And let's see, he has supreme confidence in. You can't see me now. He has supreme confidence in the show. Basically, like everything he said, he felt like he was an expert on that topic. And things that he wasn't comfortable talking about, he didn't talk about.
Yeah.
Now, as
he should have.
This being a platform for him to basically break out his presidential campaign. The first time I saw it, I didn't like that. But then when I saw it again, and then when I actually heard somebody else who was a politician was like the best thing a politician can do if they don't know about a topic is not speak about it. Because what happens is there's too many basically presidential candidates political people who make promises during their campaign that they can't keep. So basically, that's a lie.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to tell a lie. And once I made that connection, I could understand that.
Yeah.
He, understanding that music is bigger than politics and more popular. I thought that was a bar. Music is bigger than politics and more popular. I felt like he gave a lot of rap and preacher references. And I know he does the Sunday service. And we've seen this before in Mace. We've seen this before in a lot of other rappers that all of a sudden became preachers. And I never really seen so many similarities until he really did the Sunday Sunday service. Another thing he said was we're all different from each other, which is a good thing. He said, people should respect different people's differences. He talked about a little spiritual point. He talked about manifestation, which was like affirmations. He talked about listening to the human race.
What does that mean? Which
was big. I mean, just saying like, okay, people basically want improvements. Listening to what actually works. Being more empathetic. Meaning like not being so cold and I guess being like, well, there's people out there who there's nothing we can do about. They're casualties of war. His thing was be empathetic. Like every life is precious. Is basically what he was pretty much trying to say. Saying that, we need to do more for people who doesn't have anything that they can't do things for themselves. So which is always difficult. I'm just catching all the commercials here. And then, he talked about the topic of foreign affairs and foreign policy. And he said that I'm just gonna close it because I can't close that commercial. He said everybody wants to hear him talk about foreign affairs and foreign policies, but he said when the time comes to talk about it, he will have foreign policy leaders on his side, like people in America that are specialized in that, and he will listen to them. I mean, he talked. I mean,
you as a president, you appoint your cabinet. So I mean, if that were to ever fathom what would happen, like you can get people on.
He talked about he believes in world peace. He talked about he said the Constitution was an innovation at the time, and he said the world hasn't had innovation since the Constitution. And he said it's time to innovate. He says time to innovate.
Yeah.
And you can hold that point. We can talk about that. He talked about his contracts, his music contracts, which was another sign of innovation. He said that his contracts and old contracts need to be updated. He said details needed to be flipped to be more fair to the artists. Point blank. He dove in. He talked about how much. He talked a lot about money. And one of the things he did talk about, it's not about rich and it's not about rich and poor. It's not about money. He says about keeping rich people rich and poor people poor. I thought that was really big. That was a really big statement.
That's not earth shattering though. People know that.
But I don't think they do though, because
I think people
understand. People will really think like, okay, if I work hard enough. But he's kind of saying there in that sentence is like it's not about how hard you work.
It's about where you're placed.
It's about that. It's about rich people being rich, and poor people being poor. Which I thought was when you think about it, it's crazy. He talked about school. He talked about natural forms of healing, dieting. He talked about food, clothing, and shelter. He talked about changing schools and education and doing what they call necessity training, where it comes into the food, clothing, shelter, education, business, physics, and farming. And he talked about that.
I don't know. I think some of this was a little contradictory. I heard that part. You're talking about the rich being rich and the poor being poor. And there's no kind of like, not you, but I'm saying him. There's no context of how to balance the socioeconomic wage to close the wage gap, right? But then you're also talking about teaching people necessity. The people, like his children won't go to the necessity school. They'll still go to the best private schools in America. He's talking about the poor people understanding how to like live life and being taught out of necessity.
I don't think that's what he's talking about. I think he's talking about changing everything.
Yeah, but still, I'm just saying, He is. But it doesn't happen like that. Because if you don't walk it like you talk it, if you don't make your kids go to school like that, if your kids can still go to Harvard, but you're trying to develop a school system below that for people to have life skills of necessity, you still keeping the poor people poor and the rich people rich.
I don't think he's trying to create a system under a system. I think he's, like I'm saying, he's trying to change. And that's what I'm saying. You got to listen to him.
No, I understand.
Because I think what he's trying to say is like, look, let's change everything.
I just don't, my personal opinion, I hear what you're saying. He's still going to keep his family as elitists. That's what I'm saying. He's not going.
That's what you're saying. That's not what he was saying.
Okay.
That's not what he was saying.
All right. I didn't listen to it.
That's not what he was saying.
I doubt that he was take a step back.
I mean,
from where he's at. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think so. I mean, if you move into a leadership role where you are in charge, let's say theoretical, let's say he gets the presidential title, right? And let's say they're already separated. You get what I'm saying? If he becomes a president, you're right. His family is already separated.
It's still elitism. That's what I'm saying. He in his mind. I heard a little bit part of that. I don't want to say it. You're probably right, but I'm just conceptualizing in my mind. If I am the Kardashians and Kanye West, and I change the system, I'm not changing the system for me. I'm changing it for maybe a better future, but I'm still going to live in a system that makes me of the elite. That's what I'm saying.
That's what you're saying. That's not what he's saying.
Okay.
But
I'm just saying what I think if it came down to it, what would happen. That's not,
I mean, during the interview, he broke it down. And if he's saying all schools should change, if he's saying, but he's talking about a certain age group. So he's talking about elementary, middle school, and high school.
His kids.
You know how the meme float around, like they don't teach mortgages and
or
farming
taxes or credit.
And even us yesterday was talking about being prepared for extreme situations. They will put you in an extreme situation and they will not teach you how to survive an extreme situation.
You are absolutely right.
He's kind of saying that. He's kind of saying like, let's teach kids that to say, hey, look, if something happens and you have to survive outside for a day, this is what you do. Beyond the boys club, Boy Scout and the Girl Scout.
Let me ask you this. If it came down to his plan and them having to give 3/4 of their wealth up to distribute it throughout the country, so minorities would come up in that wage gap, do you think Kanye and Kim would do that?
I don't know. Because I don't think they would ever do that.
That's all I'm saying.
No,
I'm just saying
not them. Not them.
No,
I'm saying that situation would never come up.
But that he's trying to speak into a world that would never come to existence. That is almost unfathomable.
It's not though.
Okay. All right.
So
let's listen to some of the clips, and then we'll comment on some of the clips.
I think it had it might have had some information on it that they didn't want to go out, like an actual
good one.
Freedom. And I say on a new song, I say, if I would put myself in harm's way to get my masters, they would put themselves in harm's way to stay the master. And there's a complete parallel to the way the music industry works and the way the world currently works, and the influence that America has on other countries and the way governments work. The influence and the way government and the way people in power and control deal with disaster relief, deal with Haiti, deal with the Bahamas. Like, where is the money going? Why aren't things being built?
Oh, so that's what this clip. I thought it was commercial. So he was basically saying like, there's always been Sally Struthers. There's always been this Save the Children foundations. But what's the real deal behind it? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what I'm saying. You see so many celebrities, but when is it going to stop? If you've been collecting money for people, look, Wayfair. And look at the books on the Wayfair tape. Justice Shelby doing bloody harvest. So this website put it in context.
Is the key to all people's happiness and will solve everything, and everyone's doing things for money. Let's just make more money. But it's not about making more money. It's about keeping poor people poor
and rich people rich, and keeping people in their place. And right now, we're experiencing the fall of Rome, or the Titanic has now hit a glacier. And there's people who would prefer to go down with the Titanic than to get on a lifeboat because they don't want to get seawater on their dress or on their nice outfit. The people are so programmed and brainwashed, but you see this character that's made for black people to idolize that was designed by a white person and put out by a white company. So it's controlling the narrative to say, we're going to show you Harriet Tubman, we're not going to show you Nat Turner. And they do it every chance they get. Maleficent, they called her race of people the Moors. And the Moors are, and I just saw it again. I was just like, yo, if you erase our history, like most black people, we don't know where we think we came from slaves. We don't know our bloodline. And we're given Black History Month and we take that like it's some gift to us. No, it's a programming to us. Racism doesn't end until we get to a point where we stop having to put the word black in front of it, because it's like we're putting the rim a little bit lower for ourselves. Like, it's when I say I'm the second wealthiest black man in America, like, why do I have to say that? Because, you know, obviously if we just go on wealth, period, or what we call wealth, like financial wealth, that scorecard, you know, I'll be like, I'm the 78th wealthiest man in America, but we shouldn't have to have a special box, a special month, because also what they show in Black History Month is us getting hosed down, reminding us that we were slaves. Like, what if we had, remember when I cheated on you month? Like, remember when you first found the text messages? Remember, how does that make you feel? It makes you feel depleted and defeated. And that's just a programming, but that program is inside of the curriculum. It's inside of the media. Plan B and Planned Parenthood were planned by a eugenics that set out and said out loud, I'm doing this to kill the black race and to create population control. You know, if we...
What are you saying?
There are 1,000 black children aborted a day, daily. We are in genocide. So more black children have died in the past since February than people have died of COVID. And
so he got real deep. So how you feel about that?
You know, I have to fact check Kanye. This is what bothers me a little bit about interviews like this. We don't fact check this stuff.
That video was trying to put it more in context.
I understand it was putting more in context, but Kanye is not an expert in any of this. Mm-hmm. He's just a celebrity, and so that's what he's talking about. Us idolizing us. He's doing it. That's almost the poetic justice in him having interviews like this, because he's not an expert in any of this.
Well, I mean, what if he's working with an expert?
Doesn't matter. He's not an expert. So put the expert on there, right? Have that person speak.
I mean, it's the same thing. Like, you know, a person can start a company, right, and then they be the CEO. But really, it could be the CFO that does all the work. And the CFO tells the CEO what to say and do. And it happens all the time.
It's the reason why CEOs have their SVPs, their VPs, their directors.
Well, he is
they have those
company.
Absolutely, because
he said
the head of the company is only the financer.
He has people on his payroll that is
not
yes man.
But if he wanted to speak upon that, it's just the same reason that they have Fauci and Sanjay pipe in on newscasts, right? They have the experts speak on it because they have the credential and the credibility to talk intelligently about it.
But there's ways to get information.
Absolutely.
And it's called a reference.
But I just don't...
And so the video is showing the references behind what
I don't know whose video that was. I mean, I understand that this is somebody on the internet. We don't know their credibility.
Okay, but see, this is the thing. You, of course, but you can literally say that about anything and anyone. Someone can watch our video and be like, both of them are not experts. They're not saying anything.
Yeah,
and then totally.
But we are only an opinion-based podcast.
But we're giving an opinion on something that could be something.
But it's only opinion.
We're giving it's still information, or it could be looked at as opinion. So
and somebody should fact check us.
Yes, but all I'm saying is that I understand anybody can dismiss what anybody's saying, but you have to look at it as saying like, okay, what do you think about it? That's what I'm saying. Not what it is, if it's false, if it's true, regardless of that.
But you know that's how I am anyway. So that
and I'm trying to move past that.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about it?
I don't believe what he says until I find out if it's true or not.
Okay.
Right? Like I feel like he has displayed so much falsity that he's lost all his credibility. And that's where I sit with him right now. Like I don't sit with that I love Kanye's music, the producer, the clothing, the genius behind that. That's what I know him to be an expert at. I don't know him to be an expert in policy and reform. I do not know him to be that.
I don't think he didn't talk about policy.
Well, he's talking, when you're talking about like, what was his point in saying the black people would die via abortion? What was his point in that?
I think it was just his unfiltered truth. That's all. Like it was just a truth.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That rhetoric though is dangerous. That's my point. In we allow these celebrities to have platforms as such, and they can say whatever or do whatever, and sometimes it's dangerous.
Well, like I said, one of the quotes I said, the reason why is because he said here that music is bigger than politics and more popular.
It is. That doesn't mean the influence is there. And we talk about this all the time.
But this is what I'm saying. It's like medicine and candy. People want to hear it from Kanye. People want to hear it from Jay-Z. People want to hear it from whoever else is speaking up. They want to hear from them.
I think it's a dangerous way of
communicating
information.
I know we talk about Fauci. Fauci you're right. He is an expert, but he's not a rock star.
He's not.
Honestly, if you saying the word Fauci, I don't think people understand that.
I believe that people will believe Kanye before they believe Fauci.
And that's what I'm trying to say.
I'm just saying it's dangerous.
It's dangerous. Let's both agree it's dangerous.
Yeah.
But what else though, dog? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, as far as just him being the president, him running, him coming on this podcast to sort of talk more. How are you feeling about what you just heard him talk about?
I'm explaining to you. I don't think it has any credibility to it. I just think it's politics as usual, right? Like the people he's doing the same thing that politicians do. Show me the shiny item. Show me the hot button. Put the hot button issues out there. Deflect
it is an art, though. You know that.
It is an art. He's doing what he's saying that politicians should do.
It's almost like music. Music, you have to record at a real studio. It has to be post-edited. It has to have an audio quality. You know what I'm saying? It has to have this person record. So everything has a thing.
How do you feel about
standard? It? I mean, no, I'm looking at it as, I know that the world has been tired of the current political debate system, right? Yes. We have seen the last couple of months, but Trump and Biden go head to head. It was a total mess. They're both shouting at each other. Nobody wants to go on their time. And people were saying they need more ways to communicate and actually relate to the candidates.
I agree.
The Breakfast Club was doing a lot of this. But like you kind of said, they're not experts.
They're not experts.
People have been going to podcasts. They were tapping Karen Civil. Shoot, I just seen a picture of Yeezy with Biden.
It's pandering at its finest.
Yes, and so here we have somebody who I'm not saying he's not doing that, but here we have someone who's not saying like, yo, I'm just gonna go stand next to Biden. I'm just gonna go stand next to Hillary. He's kind of saying like, look, I know there's problems. I'm willing to step into the forefront of them all.
He wants to see change. I believe Kanye wants to see change. I'm not saying that I don't believe that he wants to see change. I just don't think he's doing exactly what a politician is doing.
And that was the question I was going to answer.
Okay.
What I said, the thing that politicians do will make a promise. I am not hearing him make promises.
But he's also just saying things that will get a rise out of people and a conversation started.
Okay, you're right. That's exactly what that is. That's exactly what that will do.
Yes, he's getting a conversation started.
It is. But at the same time, I have heard that Plan B, the whole Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood was not for us the way we thought it was. I have heard that before.
I told you, I'm just full transparency. I've only had amazing experiences at Planned Parenthood because I used to go get my yearly checkup there.
Well, think about like this.
I didn't even know it was an abortion clinic until like somebody told me like, hey, do you know that's an abortion clinic?
Well, think about like this.
Because there's so much other stuff that goes on in there.
Well, think about like this. Twofold. A car can pick you up and take you where you need to go.
It can kill you as
well. And it can kill you as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm saying that you have to, there's always multiple angles to things. That's the angle that he might be saying that a lot of people did not know.
I'm telling you in full transparency. But also, too, in colleges, Planned Parenthood was developed to Now, I don't know about population control and all that kind of stuff, what he was speaking about, like babies being aborted and all that. I don't know what the statistics are, so I'm not going to say that he's wrong or he's right behind that. What I do know is that Planned Parenthood, from what I have dealt with, what I have experienced, is exactly what it is. It's to protect, and it's a safe place for people that don't necessarily have insurance or are of wealth. They give you free condoms. They give you free checkups. They do free STD screening. Like, I only know that from my experience with it, and I was very naive. It was like, hey, I need a yearly checkup. They were like, oh, at the college, they were like, you can go to the Planned Parenthood. They provide that service. I said, oh, perfect. I will go there. That was my experience with it, right? Mm-hmm. So that is all that I know with it. Later down the line, I understood as I grew into an adult that that's the other services that they provide there, right? But as for population control, what more of a population control can we talk about right now than us not masking and killing this pandemic? We want to talk about population control, right? Like we have a virus out here that's a silent killer that's touching and affecting people every single day. So he's talking about something, yes, overarching that needs to be a larger conversation. Am I going to get anything out of a soundbite out of the Joe Rogan? He's bringing up the conversation, appreciative of you bringing up the conversation. But now what? Now what after this?
Yeah.
What's the policy that you're trying to put in place?
I think that's what it's all about. I mean, I think that Kanye's whole thing is like you're actually being distracted from what the real problems are. I think
every single day, and that's not a bad thing.
I think that's what he's saying.
That
so
he's bringing these conversations up.
I mean, he like you said, you got to check the facts, and that is true.
Yeah.
But can you just for a second? If you say, what if there were more people being aborted than there was people with COVID?
I just think it's a sensitive topic, and I will tell you why I think it's
I think it's a super sensitive topic.
I think it's a sensitive topic. Out of those 1,000 people, how many of them women were raped? Mm-hmm. How many of those people is incest? Well, they're molested, right? These numbers have names and faces and figures behind it. You know what I mean? So we can't just just throw that out there without some context behind it.
I was kind of talking about when I was saying, how do you feel about, like I was saying, the news and about him coming on Joe Rogan, and because I think that if the world, when it came time for these presidential debates, if they sat down with a regular person. And I don't have a problem with them sitting down with the Breakfast Club and just had a regular conversation and was able to get all their things out and then let everybody comment on that.
I don't think we're ever going to uncover that PR monster that will protect a politician that will be running the country. I don't think we'll ever peel that banana, right? We want to see the real and the raw. That's basically what people were getting out of this Joe Rogan episode. Do I think if Kanye West ever really ran for president, like put a real bid in for running for presidency, would he be able to be talking this way? I do not think so.
The hurricanes still have hit, the earthquakes still hit, and people are still suffering from that. And no one has really gone to fix it. And when that 11 billion goes to Haiti and it doesn't get to the people, the Daily Mail post a swimsuit pic or something and deters our energy to what we have to do collectively to help our brothers and sisters. So what we need to do is change the bad guy, change the competitor, make the competitor be the Roman era, the Roman civilization. Make the competitor be the Egyptian kingdom, and say we are the first society, we're the first civilization that ever became civil, because we are still just as much in the dark ages as medieval times, or as Game of Thrones, level, Black Mirror level. I know I went past future, other dimension for a second. We're not maximizing our resources and our existence. We've got genius level scientists. We've got people who rogue, people who have broken out of the chains, like Elon. Like, imagine if Elon was working at GM on the third floor somewhere. All of these people who break away and then create the new society and the next frontier of where we're going. The always fighting to, represent, who you are against media, entertainment and industry that's trying to tear down anybody that's not going with the flow. I'm going to listen to kids before I listen to, super programmed out adults. And then there's a lot of words that end with URE that are very powerful: future, sure, pure, endure. And that goes into like the rhyme, because I'm literally trying to figure out the video game at all times to see where these things parallel. I know this can get into like a riff where people like, okay, yeah, you were losing what you're saying right now. But future, sure, pure, endure. And it's not that I am fearless. I am definitely shaking and in so much fear of my Father. I fear God, and I don't fear nothing else.
There's some power to that, right?
Yeah. So, it's a couple of things. That was pretty much a summary of some of the high points that he talked about. But the reason why I chose that one is because they kind of put some of the things in context a little bit. Like, he showed you what he was saying based on just you hearing it. Because when you hear the whole interview, you're like, what is he talking about?
Yeah,
he was covering
it's lengthy.
Some ground. He started with the shoes, then he went to Rome, then he went to Harriet Tubman, then he was really going. But I'm guessing, his mind is working fast.
I do think it was his cleanup plan, because he was. What did he first say about Black people?
Oh, he said
slavery didn't exist. Yeah, it sounded like a choice to me. I think it's all a PR engine, right? He doesn't just get on Joe
sneakers and shirts.
He doesn't just get on Joe Rogan because they're like, hey, you know what? Let's have Kanye West on here today, right? Like, it's all coincide from mistakes that he might feel like he made that he needed to explain himself, or new ideas that he wanted to express himself. But at the end of the day, right, he is an innovator. He is a creator. He is a father. He is a husband. He is a son, right? He is a Black man in America. So of course he's going to have a litany of different topics and things that he's passionate about, and things that he's going to do, and things that he's going to speak about. It just needs to come off responsibly, right? That's the thing. That's my whole point, in that he has so much influence. One thing that I do think, I don't know if it came out of this interview, but he mentioned, I'm Kanye West. How dare they think that I can't run for president? You think that only Black people are going to vote for me? How many times have we gone to Fight Club and it is affluent white men with their sons going to buy the Yeezys? Anytime you probably go into any of those, what are those stores called? Not consignment. Are they consignment stores?
Yeah, they're
consignment stores.
Boutiques,
The sneaker boutiques. Is some guy, stockbroker, with his 2 kids, the whole family's getting the Yeezys. They're in there paying $600-700 for a pair of sneakers. Yeah. What other thing? When he said he jumped over the jump man, Michael Jordan was an actual competitive athlete that brought world championships and gold medals to this country. And Kanye West, that is just a music producer, has exponentially grown his sneaker business tenfold over an athlete that was an actual shoe. That has a lot of power in it. A lot of power that has to be held and dealt with care, right? A lot of people don't understand. They latch on to the culture, but they don't really hear what Kanye's trying to say to us. Yeah. We understand what Kanye's trying to say in some of these messages, but then when you have that type of power and you misspeak or you take a misstep, you can put a whole generation's worth of work back in 2 seconds of you having a bad moment on TMZ.
Use your ballot.
You know, I wanted to bring this up because I don't know if people understand this, but there's been a ton of people who ran for president outside of Kanye. So I found this little video, and this is some guy's YouTube channel, but it looked like he's showing a couple people. So I'll just use his content. We'll go through to see all the different people that ran for president, because I've heard too that if you really want to promote something or a cause or issue, run for president. You'll get the most coverage and you'll get the most press, and you might surprise yourself. I did hear that Trump ran as a joke originally, didn't think he was going to win, and look where he's at now. He's the freaking president. And so Kanye, why wouldn't somebody else say, oh, if he ran as a joke, Al Sharpton ran for president?
But
Jesse Jackson ran for president.
I don't think they ran as a joke, though.
They ran to promote topics. And I'm not saying like gym sneakers. I'm talking about healthcare, this and that, like important topics. You know what I'm saying?
But I feel like they had real presidential runs. Like they had
Lee Mercer Jr. is absolutely insane
to have somebody support you. So here's one guy. I don't know who he is. Lee Mercer Jr.
Democratic candidate who ran for president back in 2008. Mercer's website went into full detail on the hard issues concerning America, ones that he was determined to prove existed and then fix. These important issues included Governor William Perry wanting to kill him and his family, Jeb Bush being all in his House of Disease, and proving that the government owes him zillions of dollars in money. These are obviously nonsense claims, but one of the best was that he wanted to prove that the U.S. had two governments, called Government Number One, and you guessed it, Government Number Two, and that he himself already owns Government Number One. Mercer ran again in 2016, stating that he wanted to install a computerized government that he invented that can run everything. He truly believes that by digitally analyzing recorded information about a government, that he can create a computer version of that government. The new computerized government overlords will be used to a man named Arthur Bremmer.
That was pretty crazy. I never heard this Mercer guy. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
No. But so he sounds pretty crazy. Is he crazier than Kanye? Sounds like it. Or he might be just as crazy.
Attempted to assassinate Wallace by shooting him 5 times. But Wallace actually survived and became paralyzed for 6 terms before she ran for the Oval Office under the Green Party in the 2008 election. McKinney's political history. Number 3 is Cynthia McKinney.
I feel like I remember her.
Cynthia McKinney was a Democratic Party member who represented Georgia in the United States House of Representatives for 6 terms before she ran for the Oval Office under the Green Party in the 2008 election. McKinney's political history prior to 2008 was pretty odd, as she had tried to pass an act that would release the official documents detailing Tupac Shakur's death. She's a 9/11 truther, and she once punched a Capitol police officer. McKinney also held a press conference after Hurricane Katrina, stating that she had information from anonymous insiders that 5,000 people were executed and dumped into a swamp in Louisiana. Supposedly, all this data was hidden somewhere on a Pentagon computer. Definitely never, ever been convicted of animal cruelty. Don't look into the past. Never happened. Everything. The Republican primaries in the 20. Number 7 is Jimmy McMillan. Jimmy McMillan is an American politician and the chairman of the Rent Is Too Damn Hot Party, who ran for the Republican primaries in the 2012 presidential election. McMillan's history includes serving in the Vietnam War, stripping, acting as a private investigator, and being a karate expert. During his campaign, he teamed up with loony candidate and politician satirist Vermin Love Supreme, and each vowed to be the other's running mate. Unfortunately, the Republican Party did not take McMillan's entry seriously, avoiding inviting him to the debates altogether or even putting him on the ballot. Over the course of his campaign, McMillan's catchphrase of "too damn high" became a popular internet meme. And on September 13, 2012, he ended up abandoning his campaign for the primaries and turned his efforts towards becoming mayor of New York. That makes sense. But on December 9th, 2015, Jimmy formally announced his retirement from politics. This is probably a good thing for American politics, considering the amount of ridiculousness coming from this one man alone was just too damn high.
So, I mean, but I wanted to show there's tons of people who ran for president, you know, and I guess for whatever reason they have, is something to do over the age of 35.
Yeah, anybody can run for president. It doesn't. Yeah. Can you turn my mic up?
Yeah, sorry.
It doesn't mean that you should, right? Like I get 100% what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing. Like there's people that run like I went and I early voted. You should have seen all the people that was on the ballot. I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are.
Yeah.
You know, there was like one, I kid you not, I don't remember what it was. It was like Joe the Doorman Thomas, like, like in quotations, right? Like, you know, like every year that happens.
Yeah. And so it's just that point I was trying to make that second. Like, everybody's like, what is she doing? Why? There's so many people that run for the president's election that they get no coverage. You couldn't even believe it. Yeah. There's people that's joking. There's people that's serious. There's people that's half joking, half serious. There's people who there's fake people that they put up there who don't exist that are created by other people. It is crazy. And I guess what I'm saying is that if you have a guy who's an actor who can do it, why can't a musician do it? If you have a guy who's a doctor could do it, why can't a musician do it? We have a guy, you know what I'm saying? Like these different areas.
Think that we have seen that when you have somebody that's a reality star and a business mogul, it doesn't work out because you don't know anything about what needs the parts of what you need to have for that job. You have no foreign policy. You don't know the law. You don't know the Constitution. You don't know people's rights. You don't know there's so much that goes into actually being the president of the United States that I think we have forgot what that does mean and what that role plays for not only us as the citizens, but the representation of our country for the world.
Well, I mean, that's one way of looking at it. You could also look at it as the world has changed a lot in the way that we choose or our president or run a country has not.
Yes, but that means we need reform. That doesn't mean that we need just a business person to say, hey, I think I can do this job, when you really can't. You're not equipped to do it.
But then, I mean, I'm just saying, like, so many times there is a person who went to Harvard Law School. There is someone who came out and was a congressman, and then they became the president and did a horrible job.
Absolutely.
So who can we turn to?
It's subjective, though. Because,
who can we turn to?
We need a strong leader. That's what we need. We need a strong leader.
So what is the definition of a leader?
I don't know. I mean, everybody's definition of a leader is different, but somebody that can lead you through to make sure that you, in the sense of the president, somebody that can lead the country to ensure the health, the safety, the economic well-being of the citizens of the country.
And you know what's so funny? The person that meets that definition is the mother. Sounds like America needs a mother. So you might not be too far off saying that, hey, it needs a woman president. It sounds like the country needs to be held. It needs a big hug because it is a mess.
I told Awesome, I said 100%. There's some possibilities for 2024. It's looking like it might be a woman, because I'm not saying this to be joking. Women will really come in and take a job serious and be like, let me fix this. Women have that innate, like, what are the things that immediately need to be fixed?
But see, this is the thing that I think that regardless if it's a man, if it's a woman, if it's the same pipeline, meaning if it's a Harvard, right? If it's a lawyer, and if they're just out of touch, we're going to keep getting the same results, whether it's a man or a woman.
I do think we need something. It has to
be, like you said, a leader.
We haven't had a youthful president in a long time.
You're right. It has to be a human. I feel like, honestly, when you peel away all those layers, it needs to be a human, somebody who's like, listen, those people out there struggling are people.
Yes.
Not numbers, not statistics, not, what do they call it? Casualties.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
We need
100%.
someone who said, listen, those people are lost.
Mm-hmm.
Let them follow me to where they need to go. Like, honestly, you said those two things are two traits that we have seen literally no candidates possess. Zero.
Because at the end of the day, when whatever party gets elected, you're no longer partisan. You are of the citizens of the United States of America. Mm-hmm. You leave that behind. You leave it behind the second that you become president.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, thank you for your comments. Mm-hmm. I definitely wanted to have this conversation with you. You had a lot of good points, and also an honest reaction because that was your really first time hearing it, and I definitely value your opinion. I think you have a great opinion, and it's tough when it comes to Kanye.
Yep.
It's tough to understand him, and it's tough to even criticize him. It's tough all over. But thank you for having a conversation with me.
Absolutely.
And this is our YouTube show, guys. We wanted to kind of have a more freer show. We can talk about things in depth, and you guys sort of hear our passion about it, and then use our references. We would love to hear what you guys think of our topics.
Yep.
That's what we have the comment section for. We're going to be dropping shows like this every week. So please subscribe. Follow Little Miss Entertainment on all her social media. Where's it at?
At Little Miss ENT, LILMISSENT.
And then also you can follow me, Awesome Nobody, at Awesome NOBDY, and on Instagram, Awesome_Nobody. Thank you guys for listening.
And as always, I love you guys for listening because 100% you didn't have to. Have a great day. Peace.